Welcome back, SMITE fans. Today I'll be going over the solar flare patch notes, but before I talk about the newest goddess in SMITE, let's check out some skins. Loki gets into the spirit of the season with his Halloween-inspired Grim Mariachi skin. This skin is a combination of a mariachi band meets Day of the Dead, and although the mustache might be painted on, it just goes so well with those shoes. Lastly, Ravana players will finally get their gold, legendary, and diamond mastery skins. The basic tutorial for SMITE has been heavily updated, including a more matinee-focused approach, giving new players a slightly more story-driven introduction into SMITE. With October here, it's time to start the SMITE Halloween event. The arena map gets decked out in spooky decorations and haunting music. The minions will also be replaced with horrifying zombie minions, as well as the siege minion wielding a jack-o'-lantern bomb. To further celebrate Halloween, upon death, gods will now spawn tombstones in their wake. Moving on to item changes. Mail of Renewal, after receiving a buff last patch, is getting a small nerf through decreased passive healing. Bluestone Pendant has its additional damage reduced from 30 to 26 over 2 seconds. Shoes of Focus now provide 250 mana, whereas Shoes of the Magi no longer gives mana, but now has increased magical power from 40 to 45. A lot of gods are going to see some small tweaks in the balancing this patch, first of which is Apollo, who is getting increased knockback strength on his ability, the Moves. A Wheelix can now pull enemies through walls with her ultimate, Gravity Surge. Cabrakan's Refraction Shield has its cooldown reduced to 10 seconds at all ranks. Chalk has a big buff to his Rain Dance, which now slows enemies 15% more through all ranks. Hubble also gets a buff through his Yellow River, which now grants slow immunity to him as well as his allies. Huyi's Ricochet has reduced cooldown from 14 to 10 seconds, and his Dive Bomb now has a 60% physical scaling damage instead of 30. The fastest god alive, Mercury, has his passive buffed by offering 75% maximum damage bonus, as well as increasing the throw distance on his special delivery. Nemesis sees a tiny buff this patch with a reduced cooldown on her Retribution. Think we're close to Soul yet? Nope! Nox's Shadowlock now applies a cripple in addition to a root. Sobek sees buffs across most of his abilities, such as his Charge Prey and Sickening Strike, both of which have reduced mana cost at all ranks. His ultimate gains increased protections, as well as an additional 5% increased slow. Tyr gets more protections through his defense stance, as well as a decreased cooldown on his switch stance. And finally, someone gets a nerf. And once again, it's Xing Chen. His ultimate is still too strong, and because of that, it's getting an increased cooldown of 100 seconds at all ranks. It will also have reduced magical scaling from 10 to 20%. Now, everyone, it is time to go over to the newest addition to SMITE, Sol, the Roman sun goddess. Her passive, Unstable Manifestation gains heat as she uses abilities and auto attacks, which decreases over time. She gains magical power and attack speed for every 3% heat, and at 100%, her basic attacks gain 50% damage. Her abilities include a healing damaging dot, an in-hand shockwave attack that damages and slows enemies, a speed stem which leaves a fiery trail and also stuns enemies at 3 seconds, and finally her ultimate, Supernova, where she unleashes her fury from the sky, striking 8 times along a movable target. Enemies hit on the first strike are knocked back, and on successive hits, enemies will only take 20% damage. That is it, everyone, for this week's patch overview. You want to read the full detailed patch notes? Just go to our forums at forums.smitegame.com.